Don't block them, don't beg. Just do this and watch what happens. Old Stoic wisdom. Absence is to love what wind is to fire. It extinguishes the small. It enkindles the great. Comte de Bussy-Rabutin. Here's a truth most men don't realize until it's too late. Your absence can speak louder than any word you say. It has a power all its own. It lingers in her thoughts, stirs emotions she doesn't quite understand, and makes you unforgettable. But there's a catch. Women don't truly process their feelings for you until you're no longer there. That's when the emotional chaos starts to unravel, and that's when they begin to really feel. What's truly powerful is understanding that when you remove yourself from the equation, whether for hours, days, or forever, you tap into something deep in her psyche. She starts scrambling to fill the emotional gap you've created, and this uncertainty can trigger an emotional reaction far stronger than constant presence. When you stop chasing and start observing, you'll discover something many men miss. A woman is often more emotionally tied to the man who gives her space than the one who clings to her. It's not about playing games. It's about recognizing the power of presence, absence, and how emotional triggers work. Once you understand this, you'll realize that your absence might be your most powerful move. 1. She thinks you don't care, and that attracts her. Let's face it, most men get this all wrong. They believe that constantly showering a woman with attention will make her feel secure, appreciated, and loved. But here's the truth. Overwhelming attention makes her feel like the game is already over. She starts to feel like she's won. And once that happens, the thrill of winning fades. Why? Because the chase, the pursuit, that's what sparks her interest. Without it, you become just another predictable option. Now let's flip the script a bit. When you pull back, go silent, and don't chase after her like every other guy out there, something powerful shifts. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he texted me? Did I do something wrong? Does he even care about me anymore? This creates confusion in her mind. And guess what? Confusion leads to attraction. The more unpredictable you become, the more she's hooked. She's no longer in control of the situation. And that makes her curious. Here's where the real magic happens. The second she can't figure you out, she starts paying more attention. Not because she's playing games or because she's manipulative, but because female attraction is fundamentally tied to emotional tension. When she senses that you're slipping away, or, even worse, that you're not emotionally invested in her like all the other guys are, that mystery triggers a deep emotional pull. This is where many men go wrong. They fail to understand that the more you hold back, the more her need for validation grows. She doesn't want constant reassurance. She wants to prove her own worth. So when you don't validate her every move, it pushes her to chase you. And this chase is deeply rooted in her desire for emotional confirmation. It forces her to think about you more, obsess over why you aren't reacting like every other guy, and it pulls her further in. This is not manipulation. It's simply the way human attraction works, especially when it's guided by Old Stoic wisdom. The principles of Stoicism, where you focus on mastering your own mind, holding your ground, and detaching from emotional dependency, are exactly what create that magnetic mystery. You don't need to beg for her attention, nor do you need to block her out. What you need is an iron mind that lets you maintain your emotional independence while still being present when it matters. Your value doesn't come from constantly being available or validating her. It comes from the space you create, space that makes her feel like she has to prove something to keep you engaged. This, in turn, taps into that primal attraction she can't resist. You see, the Stoic principles don't just apply to managing your own life and emotions, they apply to relationships too. When you give a woman the space to wonder about you, to question your intentions, she becomes compelled to understand you more. The more you resist the temptation to indulge in her emotional drama, the more you activate her interest. It's a dance of emotional tension, where you stand firm in your values and control over your feelings. An iron mind, free from the need for constant validation, creates that aura of mystery. You are no longer the man she can predict. Instead, you become the man she wants to chase, the man who doesn't need to beg for her attention, nor block her to gain it. So let this sink in. Don't block her. Don't beg for her attention. Be the man who stands tall in his own world, detached from her emotional pulls. When you apply the old Stoic wisdom and embrace your own sense of self, you shift the power dynamic. And when you do, you'll see something incredible unfold. She'll start wondering about you. She'll start chasing you. And that's when the game truly begins. 2. Her ego takes a hit and she hates it. Every woman, no matter how humble or sweet she may seem, has an ego. Yes, you heard that right. It's not a matter of vanity or pride, it's simply a part of human nature. And like any ego, it thrives on being fed. Compliments, likes, messages, those are the fuel that keeps it burning. The more attention she receives, the more her sense of self-worth gets validated. It's almost like an unspoken currency. She's used to it. She expects it. But when you disappear, that's when things get real. It's not just your presence she's missing, it's the constant validation she's grown accustomed to. Think of it like this. Every time a man shows interest, every time he chases or checks in, it's a subtle deposit into her emotional bank. But when you suddenly stop, she feels that withdrawal, a serious one. At first, she brushes it off. Oh, he's probably just busy, she tells herself, trying to mask the sting. But as time passes, doubt creeps in. Why isn't he checking in on me? What happened to all that attention I used to get from him? Did I do something wrong? Is he seeing someone else? Here's where things get interesting. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop constantly checking in, it doesn't just throw her off, it punches her ego straight in the gut. The absence of attention doesn't just make her wonder about you, it makes her question herself. And trust me, this isn't a pretty feeling for anyone. Most men, caught up in the typical dance of courtship, would reach out, beg for her attention, chase after her until the end of time. But not you. You break the cycle. You refuse to play by the usual rules. And that's when her ego gets bruised in a way she can't ignore. She may act cold, distant, or even indifferent if you try to talk to her again. But here's the kicker. Behind that facade, her mind is working overtime. She's spiraling. She's wondering what went wrong. What did she do to lose your attention? And more than that, how could she get it back? This is where the Stoic rules of emotional detachment come into play. You, my friend, are practicing practical Stoicism. You're not letting the waves of doubt, insecurity, or anxiety dictate your actions. You're standing firm, grounded, and completely unaffected by her emotional roller coaster. And that, in itself, is a rare and powerful thing. Here's the twist. That discomfort, that bruised ego, it doesn't make her lose interest in you. On the contrary, it makes her want to regain control. And how does she do that? By pulling you back in. It's all about the power dynamic. When she sees that you're not constantly pursuing, when she realizes she's no longer the one in control, her need to reclaim that control becomes overwhelming. She starts showing up again. She'll be more active on your social media, liking your posts, commenting, or subtly sending signals to test the waters. She's not just looking for attention, she's looking to re-establish her dominance in the relationship. Her ego doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to feel like she's been rejected or forgotten. She needs that validation again. The power she once had, she wants it back. The absence of your attention becomes a craving, a need she didn't even realize she had. And once she senses even the smallest shift, she'll make her move, dropping hints, throwing out feelers to see if she can still hook you. But here's the thing. This isn't about you. Not entirely, it's about her ego. It's about her need to feel chosen, to feel desired, to feel like she's still the one in control of the situation. And the moment you break from the cycle of constant attention, she craves it like a drug she didn't even know she was addicted to. This is the crux of understanding the paths of wisdom. Stoic rules teach us the value of emotional self-discipline. By stepping away, you've created space, not just for yourself, but for her to realize how much she relied on your validation. And once she sees that you're not like every other man chasing after her, you've shifted the balance of power. It's no longer about her being the one in control. It's about both of you respecting the boundaries that allow for true, meaningful interaction. In conclusion, you must understand that when you withhold attention, not out of malice or coldness, but as a display of personal strength and stoic calm, you challenge her ego, and in doing so, you force her to confront the reality of her own emotional dependency. That's where the power lies, not in the chase, not in the begging, but in the deliberate choice to walk a path of emotional independence. This is the essence of practical stoicism. Don't block, don't beg, just step back. Watch what happens next. If you found this valuable, comment below, and share it with someone who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, I control my attention, and it's my power. This affirmation emphasizes taking control of your own energy and focus, in line with the Stoic wisdom shared in the video. 3. She starts stalking you in silence. Let's get real. When a woman starts to feel your absence, she doesn't always reach out. She doesn't always text. She doesn't always say, I miss you. She watches you quietly, carefully, constantly. You see, when she starts stalking you in silence, it's not because she's forgotten about you. It's not because she's moved on. She checks your WhatsApp status. She watches your Instagram stories. She notices every like, every follow, every post. And the silence? It's not indifference. It's her ego at work. She won't reach out. She won't tell you she misses you. Why? Because her pride won't let her. She might be thinking, why hasn't he messaged me? What's he doing? Who's he with? But she will keep it all to herself. And that silence, it's not a signal to move on. It's a signal that she's obsessed with you in her own quiet way. Now this is where the Stoic wisdom of Epictetus comes in. He said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Take that philosophy and apply it to your situation. You must detach from the need for her approval. You must stop obsessing over her actions. Focus on your life, your goals, your progress. Let her wonder about you. Let her feel the pressure as she watches you move forward, not chasing her, but living your life fully. This isn't about ignoring her. It's about mastering your own life. When you stop chasing and let go of the emotional attachment, you gain control. You become the one in power. Epictetus also said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can't control her actions, but you can control your response, and in doing so, you set the terms of the relationship. Understand this. The woman who stalks you in silence isn't over you. She's still emotionally invested. Her silence is a way of protecting her vulnerability. She doesn't want you to see how much she cares. But every time she checks your social media, every time she sees you living your life without chasing her, it creates emotional pressure. Every time she sees you out there living, posting, glowing, not chasing her, it builds emotional pressure inside her. She keeps tabs on you to stay emotionally close. Even if she's physically distant, it's her way of staying connected without exposing her vulnerability. Her. She keeps tabs on you to stay emotionally close. Even if she's physically distant, it's her way of staying connected without exposing her vulnerability. This is the power of Stoicism. Stoic men understand that they do not need to seek validation from others. They do not need to beg or plead for attention. Instead, they focus on self-mastery. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, as Epictetus said. By stepping back, by giving her space, you're not losing, you're winning. You're playing by your own rules. You are the one in control. In the game of relationships, the man who controls his emotions, who lives for himself first, is the one who wins. Your silence, your absence, your strength, all of it creates a magnetic pull. Keep moving forward. Keep being the best version of yourself. You're not just waiting for her to return. You're becoming the man she can't resist. So don't block her. Don't beg her. Don't chase her. Just do this. Focus on your own life and watch as everything falls into place. You'll win. 4. She replays every moment looking for clues. Here's a truth many men aren't prepared to hear. Women overthink more than you might imagine, especially when you go quiet, but not in the way you assume. She's not just feeling neglected, she's actively analysing your behaviour. Every conversation you had with her, every word you said, every little joke or comment, every pause in your tone becomes a subject of scrutiny. She replays your messages over and over, searching for hidden meanings. She reads and rereads your texts, carefully examining the way you used emojis, looking for a shift in your words that might hint at something. She rewinds the moments, trying to figure out what went wrong, or, worse yet, what you've been hiding. Was he losing interest back then? Did I say something that pushed him away? Did I do something wrong? Was he ever truly into me? She starts to become a detective in her own emotional investigation, trying to put the pieces together to form a clearer picture. Every little shift, every change is under the microscope, all while you're out there wondering if ignoring her is even making a difference. You think the silence might be doing something, but in reality, it's only making her build entire theories about you in her mind. The truth is, you've put her on a path where she starts questioning everything, and she's using her own logic to try and figure out what went wrong. Now, don't think for a moment that you can fool her with silence or trick her into coming back. She'll be patient, analysing every inch of your behaviour, and while you sit there wondering whether the silent treatment is working, she's getting further and further into her emotional web. This is where Old Stoic wisdom comes into play. The iron mind that Stoic principles teach isn't about playing games or avoiding the confrontation that comes with feelings. It's about control, clarity, and understanding how to act decisively and with purpose. Stoic wisdom teaches that to live in peace, one must focus on controlling their emotions, not manipulating others' emotions. So when you face moments of uncertainty in relationships, don't block her or beg for her attention. Instead, become the master of your emotions. Hold your ground, stay calm, and don't play into the emotional whirlwind that she's creating in her head. Understand that while she's replaying every moment, you too must remain grounded in the Stoic principles of balance and clarity. Don't let the turmoil of overthinking take over your life. You must rise above it with the strength of an iron mind. Let go of the emotional games. Don't get caught up in the drama, and don't let her theories dictate your reality. Stand firm in your own truth and let things unfold as they should. It's the best strategy, rooted in the wisdom of the Stoics, for building lasting peace and understanding in your relationships. If you find this insightful, comment below and share it with someone who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember. Silence can spark 1,000 questions. 5. She starts comparing you to other men. Here's the cold, hard truth. The moment you go silent, she doesn't just wonder where you are. No, she begins to measure every other man against you. And don't be fooled into thinking this is always a romantic comparison. It's often subtle, sometimes even subconscious, but it's always happening. The moment you pull back, she starts to notice. Maybe she hangs out with a new guy. He's charming, sure, but there's something missing. Maybe he says all the right things, but it doesn't feel the same way it did when you spoke. He's funny, but lacks the mystery you carried with you. The key here is not that she's actively seeking out someone better, it's that she's now aware of what made you unique. Absence is a powerful force. It creates contrast. And contrast, as every Stoic knows, is where wisdom is born. It forces her to step back and take stock, comparing you with what she finds around her. Most guys? Just average. They don't stir the same emotions. They don't evoke the same thoughts. They don't carry the same weight. You left, and now she feels the absence of something exceptional. She may try to replace you. She might swipe through profiles, chat with someone new, even date, but nothing compares. The experience she had with you stays etched in her mind. When you leave quietly, without begging, without blocking, it leaves an impression. You've created space, and in that space, your absence looms larger than any presence. And this is important, you must ask yourself this. What does she remember when she looks back on you? Was it a man of strength, presence, and self-respect? Or was it a guy who bent over backward, who sought validation in the smallest moments just to keep her close? This distinction is where practical Stoicism comes in. Stoic rules teach us not to chase after approval or cling to anything, especially not the approval of another person. When you live by those principles, you become a man who doesn't fold. You become the one who doesn't just exist for her, but is deeply embedded in her thoughts because you've chosen to maintain your dignity and self-respect. Here's the deal. If you were weak, needy, or emotionally sloppy when you were around, she won't remember you as someone worth comparing others to. Instead, she'll simply feel relief that you're gone. This is where many men miss the mark. The problem isn't that you left, it's that you never established a solid foundation to begin with. So take this to heart. If you did it right, every other man she meets will feel like a downgrade, not because you played games, but because you held yourself to a higher standard, and that's something no one else can replicate. This is the path of wisdom that the Stoics teach. They don't beg, they don't chase, they simply are. And that presence, that unshakable core, is what lingers long after you walk away. Remember, absence creates contrast. Real strength isn't about constantly pursuing her, it's about maintaining your own dignity and self-worth. That's the lesson to take from this. Don't block, don't beg, just live with purpose. Your silence will do the work for you. 6. She gets angry, but keeps it hidden. When you choose silence over confrontation, don't expect her to simply let go. The absence of your attention doesn't just make her feel rejected, it triggers something deeper. She gets angry, but it's a quiet, internal fury. It isn't the type of anger that boils over in shouting matches or heated arguments, but one that simmers beneath the surface, controlled and sharp. And if you're not careful, this silent rage will work against you in ways you can't easily fix. Why? Because your silence attacks her ego. She thought you were the one who would always chase, always respond, always be there. She believed you were wrapped around her finger, predictable and dependable. But now, when your silence becomes the only thing she hears, it cuts through her illusions. No calls, no texts, no validation. It's a blow to her self-worth, and the result is a psychological storm she can't easily shake off. She'll start questioning everything. Did I mean anything to him? How could he just walk away like that? Who does he think he is? But here's the truth you need to understand. She won't say any of this. She won't voice her anger directly. Instead, she'll keep it locked away, quietly seething. The quieter she becomes, the more dangerous it becomes. She may post cryptic quotes online, act like nothing's wrong, pretend she's living her best life, but it's all a facade. The anger isn't gone. It's buried deep inside her, simmering, waiting for the right moment to resurface. You have to recognize this for what it is, a psychological game of control, and if you're not careful, it can play you like a puppet on a string. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This principle is crucial here. If you let your emotional needs and responses be driven by someone else's reactions, you relinquish control over your own life. You have to master yourself first. Don't beg, don't chase, don't fall into the trap of validating someone else's sense of power over you. Let silence be your strength, not your weakness. Let it be a reminder that your worth is independent of her actions or emotions. When you embrace Stoicism, you win, not just in your relationships, but in life itself. You become impervious to emotional manipulation. You must stand firm in the face of her anger, recognizing that this is not your battle to fight. Be calm. Be steady. Let your inner peace remain unshaken. This is how you gain control over your life. This is how you win, not through empty actions or words, but through mastery of yourself. You must act like Epictetus. Let her wrestle with her own emotions. You stay strong, still, and unmoved. By doing this, you will see how powerfully your silence and self-control transform the situation. If you understand the power of silence and how it shakes things up, drop a comment right now. I hold the silence that changes everything. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remember, silence isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. 7. She creates scenarios that never happened. Don't block her, don't beg her, don't waste your energy chasing after something that's slipping away. Instead, do this, something that will not only reshape your mindset, but will also change how she sees you. Tap into old Stoic wisdom and realize that the truth doesn't need to be explained to those who refuse to understand. When you go silent, don't fall into the trap of trying to explain yourself or fix what isn't broken. That's when the mind games begin. You see, when you stop responding, when you go quiet, her imagination takes over. It's as if she begins creating an alternate reality, a movie, with you as the main character. But this isn't a story grounded in truth. It's built on her own emotions, and those emotions are unstable, unpredictable. She starts seeing you in a new light, often a distorted one. You might be sitting at home, minding your own business, but in her mind, you're out there with someone else. She envisions you laughing, flirting, doing all the things she believes you're doing. But the irony is, none of it is true. She imagines you saying things to another woman that you never said to her. She constructs entire scenarios, false scenarios, and becomes emotionally entangled in them. And here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if any of it is true. What matters is that her emotions are now ruling her. It's not about what you did. It's about what she thinks you did. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't just some passive, harmless daydreaming. As the imagination spirals, her emotional state intensifies. This is where old Stoic principles come into play. The Stoics knew the power of detachment and how our minds can deceive us when we let emotions control our thoughts. Your job is to stay calm, keep your iron mind sharp, and not fall into the trap of responding. Don't give in to the urge to try and fix the situation. Don't beg for her understanding. That's where you lose your power. Instead, stay true to the Stoic mindset, control what you can, and let go of the rest. She's letting her mind run wild, weaving a tale of deception that has nothing to do with reality. The more you remain calm, the more her emotions will burn out, because they have nothing to feed on. You don't need to prove anything to her. The only thing you need to prove is that you're steadfast, grounded, and unshaken by her imagined world. Here's the hard truth. When you don't engage, when you don't beg, and when you don't try to correct her false narrative, you're doing something more powerful than any emotional outburst. You're showing her that you understand one of the core tenets of Stoic wisdom, that emotional chaos is not worth your time. It's just a fleeting storm, and the best way to weather that storm is not to react to it, not to try and control it, but to remain steady, to stay unruffled. Remember, an iron mind isn't shaken by the storms of others' emotions. You don't need to justify yourself to anyone, least of all someone who's living in a world of fiction that her emotions created. Don't chase her, don't fall into the emotional trap, and most importantly, don't let her fantasy world dictate your reality. If you're following the Stoic principles, you know that the only reality that matters is the one you control. So stay silent, stay grounded, and watch as her imagined scenarios crumble. What you're doing is what the Stoics taught. By mastering your own mind, you allow the mind games of others to fade away. 8. She tests you in disguise. Don't be fooled by what seems like a casual message. When a woman feels the absence of your presence, she won't directly say it. Instead, she'll test you, and it won't be obvious at first. She'll drop a casual message like, "Hey, just checking in." Or maybe she'll like one of your posts on social media. Perhaps she'll mention something she forgot to return. It'll seem harmless, but trust me, it's all a trap. This isn't just a random action, it's a test. She wants to know if you're still emotionally invested, still paying attention, and more importantly, if you're still within her reach. The moment she senses a shift in your attention, she'll feel the need to reaffirm her place in your world, and she's going to see if you're still hooked. But here's where the Stoic rules come into play. The first rule you must learn. Don't bite. Don't rush to respond. You must learn to keep your composure, to stay cool, and to understand what's happening beneath the surface. This is the essence of practical Stoicism. Life isn't about reacting impulsively, but about responding with calmness, thoughtfulness, and strength. If you respond too quickly, too emotionally, or too eagerly, you fail the test. It's that simple. The moment you show your eagerness, you signal that you're too invested, too attached. Stoic wisdom teaches us not to get caught up in the fleeting emotions that others might try to provoke. Emotions are powerful, but they are not the best guide when it comes to dealing with situations like this. In the paths of wisdom, there's an understanding that the wise man doesn't give away his power. He doesn't let anyone dictate his emotional state. Women, like anyone else, are testing boundaries, not out of malice, but out of the natural desire to feel secure, to know they matter. That doesn't mean you have to fall for it. You must realize that if you're emotionally hooked, you've given away your strength. You've surrendered to external forces rather than choosing to control your own state. This isn't about playing games or trying to win her over. It's about keeping your dignity and self-respect intact. It's about being the stoic man who knows when to stand firm and when to remain silent. Don't get me wrong, it's not about playing the hard-to-get game either. It's about being aware of your worth. If you constantly react to every little thing someone does, you show them that they control you. Instead, be the man who takes a moment to think before he reacts, who values his own emotional state above the need for constant validation. Remember, the essence of Stoicism lies in controlling what you can, your responses, your emotions, and your decisions. You must take responsibility for the energy you allow into your life. When she tests you, don't fall for the trap. Stay calm, respond if necessary, but never out of desperation. Don't rush to prove you're still interested. Instead, let her see that you are solid, unmoved by fleeting tests. The great Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, didn't waste time chasing after fleeting approval. They understood the value of maintaining inner peace and clarity. They knew that no one could control them unless they allowed it. And that's the lesson here. If you respond with emotional eagerness, you've allowed someone to control your feelings. But if you stay calm, measured, and composed, you will have passed the test because you were never manipulated into proving your worth. In the end, this isn't about trying to outsmart someone or playing games. It's about maintaining your self-respect, standing firm, and using wisdom to guide your actions. A man who is truly strong, who has followed the paths of wisdom laid out by Stoic teachings, is one who knows when to act and when to remain silent. He doesn't respond out of desperation. He responds from a place of power, knowing that he is enough as he is. So remember this. Don't be hasty. Don't be overly eager. Instead, be the stoic man who remains calm, composed, and in control. The test is not about her, it's about you. And the true test of wisdom is whether you can stay anchored in your own sense of worth, no matter what external forces try to throw your way. If you've reached this point, you're already learning the value of emotional control. Most men fall for the traps, reacting impulsively and losing their power. But you're different. You understand the test and the power of remaining calm. Please comment below. I am in control and will not be tested. 9. She questions her own worth. In life, the power of silence is one that is often underestimated. When you choose to walk away, to remain silent instead of chasing or begging, you let the natural order of things unfold. You let them come to their own realizations. Don't block them. Don't beg. Do what is hard but necessary. When you step back, when you stop feeding the cycle of uncertainty, you allow them the space to question themselves. Silence is powerful. The absence of your attention forces them to face their own behaviors and insecurities. They begin to wonder, was I not good enough? Did I push him too far? Was I too available? Why did he stop chasing me? These questions will haunt them. They will reflect on the late replies, the mixed signals, the attitude they threw at you when you gave them your time and attention. It doesn't hit them when you're still around because they take your presence for granted. But once you are gone, once you stop engaging in their games, the silence becomes deafening. It becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their own actions. The harsh truth is that people often feel entitled to your time and affection, especially when they know they can push you around without consequence. However, true strength lies in removing yourself from that equation. You must refuse to be part of their emotional chaos. Be like Epictetus, who taught us that we can control only our own responses, not the actions of others. Take control of your own peace and maintain your dignity. Stoicism is not about punishing others, but about mastering yourself. When you stop chasing, you stop validating their games. In the stillness, they are left to reflect, to realize that their actions were the cause of your departure. The realization stings. I treated him this way, and now he's gone. This is the moment where their self-worth is questioned. This is where you regain your power. The absence of your energy, your presence, will eventually force them to face the consequences of their actions. Do not beg for attention. Do not allow them to test your boundaries. Let them see that you are not a safety net for their emotional instability. You are a man who knows his worth. Epictetus says, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." In the context of relationships, you cannot control someone else's feelings or behavior, but you can control your own actions. You can choose to walk away, to leave them with their questions, their regrets. And when they come back, seeking answers, seeking your presence, you will have already mastered yourself. You will have already won. Stoicism teaches us the value of inner strength, the ability to stand firm, unaffected by the emotional turbulence of others. So don't chase, don't beg, don't explain. Just step back, embrace the silence, and watch as they come to realize their own mistakes. That is how you win. That is how you regain your power. Thanks for sticking with me through this video. I hope you're starting to see the bigger picture of why absence is often a powerful tool in relationships, especially when it comes to female psychology. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding how emotions, attention, and patterns work in a relationship. Remember, sometimes doing nothing, just stepping back, is the best thing you can do. It shows strength, confidence, and self-respect, and that's what makes you unforgettable. So next time you feel the urge to chase or beg, remember this. Your absence will say more than any words ever could. Thanks again for watching, and take care. See you in the next one.